Run the Mile You're In by Ryan Hall. I just finished it up, the audiobook version. Um, I will say the narration's kind of monotone, but the way the story's told, you really don't need like a super exciting narrator for it. It's a running book um, about the world elite runner Ryan Hall. It does go into some of his racing a little bit, like his Boston Marathon uh, experience. He was there for the bombing. Um, how he went and did like the 7 continents, 7 days thing, and how he was like a world record half marathoner at one point. Even a little bit about his family, how he adopted 4 girls. But I would say a lot of that was subpar in the context itself, due to him talking more about his religious beliefs and how his religious beliefs got him to be such a great runner overall, and push him to those next levels that kept him motivated and getting through the hard times, like even through life or races itself. So it did sort of take away from the storytelling because you know every time I'm going to tell people is every time he started to actually get really into a subject about a race, he would always interject with some kind of like religious metaphor or Bible verse or something like that. So let's just say like when he was talking about like drafting and stuff like that during a race and how people were working together, like he really starts catching, getting your attention, but catching the way he's like portraying the story and what's going on. And as soon as your attention gets grabbed, he interjects with that like religious talk, so it sort of takes away from what he was saying because it never really gets, to me in my opinion, completely finished, like what he was really trying to say. So he might tell like the first half of the story or even like 3/4 of it, then he interjects with that religious part and never really finishes it. Or if he does, your mind wanders away and basically forgets what he just said in that first 75% of that story. So he really needed to, in my opinion, tell the story, then speak about how that particular event, like a specific Bible verse, helped him, or his mental state, like something he thought of, instead of just jumping to it a little bit too quickly. So that's my sort of take on it. There is some good snippets here or there, like I said, about like the drafting, how it helps people and how some of the elite runners do work together, like in big city marathons that push the pace, again get that draft, or or chase down somebody, and or if there's a him and somebody else, how they worked as a team to get like a top 3 or top 5 podium spot over the pack, or the chase pack. So there's little information like that here or there scattered out. It's really useful. It is a little bit, I guess, an autobiography as well, because again it talks about how he met his wife, his younger years like running, and then like his post-race career towards the end. So I mean, I guess that's what it's supposed to be. It's more of like an autobiography, but again, I would say 50-50 of it is running related / family autobiography. The other 50 is the religious aspect of the book, which takes away from a lot of the true context of his story, because it's only like as an audiobook, I think it was like under 6 hours or something. I don't know what the total time was, but I know it was under 6, so it was kind of short for an audiobook. And maybe if he would have expanded more in depth in some of the details, like of specific races, it would have been a little bit longer and a little bit better of a story. Because being also a short story, like that under that 6 hour mark, he didn't go into a lot of details just in general. It was more like, here's 30 seconds telling you the story of the race, interject with 30 seconds of the religion, on to the next one. But he was a really good runner, a very good elite American runner. He did talk about his competition from the other countries like the Kenyans, and how like some people like raced against them or like just defeated against them because they were so much better, and how he always thought the competition, elevated his game. And one thing I thought caught my attention towards the end was when he talked about his weight. I mean, like as he says, running you usually like to be as lighter as possible to a certain extent, and he actually ran better heavier than he did lighter. And he was talking about how runners have to remember that it comes down to like how you're built, because like we'll just say like we as Americans are built a little bit heavier and have a little bigger build than say like the Kenyans. So they're always like lighter and weigh less. Just like little tidbits like that. And just how he interacted with some of the other elite runners. And like we'll say after the Boston Marathon, the bombing, the next year him and Meb wanted to push each other and sort of win it, for America. He didn't win it, but the other guy did, so it did work out pretty well. So I mean, it is interesting, but if you're into the religious interjection type books, and if you want to hear like some good elite talk about perspective from running, then I would check it out. But don't expect to gain a lot of knowledge from the book itself, how to get better, how to train, or anything like that. It's just more directly based on just a few races that he did and his life in general, like an autobiography more than tips, because there really wasn't any tips, and any tips or tricks that you might get out of it, you would sort of have to read between the lines to sort of figure them out. So I mean, if you want a quick audiobook, listen to it, but if you're not really trying to like listen to or read a bunch of audio books or running books, this is one of those ones you could skip over and not be ashamed to miss. So that's just my opinion. So check it out if you want, but don't expect nothing spectacular.